I'm working on the last bit of rust repair in the lower right quarter panel here. Of course, this is what the rust used to look like. Not very pleasant, is it? With the muffler out, you can see the piece that I've cut away. Now, first I cut out the one piece, then I made a piece out of cardboard, and then I made a piece out of metal for it to fit. Here's the formed piece clamped in place. I've removed the undercoating, the primer coating, and the finish coat all and cleaned it up all the way around so that I'll have a good contact with the welder, and I'll tack weld that all around. I cleaned off a piece over here so that I'll have good contact when I do my welds. It also has primer on the inside so that it won't rust. Weld through primer. The welding is finished and the welds are all ground down, and then we'll fill it with Bondo in a step to make it waterproof when we finish it. But first we have to make the outside piece. Here's the piece that was cut out. Here's the manila envelope that I used to, or a folder, a manila folder that I used to cut a template. And then I shaped the piece of 20 gauge to look like this. And I've got, it'll inset along this line inside the fender so that I'll weld along this point and it'll give it support as it's clamped. This piece will fold over, and I've kerned it like you would bending wood so that when that bends it'll keep its round shape, and then it'll all get shaped. So here's some of the tools I use. I use a piece of pipe to bend it. I use a dolly to bend things. I use the straight cutters, files, I mean lots and lots of stuff. And of course I work my way up to the finished piece. I don't cut it exactly. I cut it close and then get it closer and closer. This is what the raw welds look like when it goes in. They're going to be ground down. It's welded on this side. It's welded on this side. I can't see it all. And then after it's tacked in place, I fold this over and weld them in place. So this is going to get trimmed and then filled, and we'll make it look real nice. So here's the panel in place, and you can see I've had to put a little Bondo to fill in the area where it wasn't quite as round as it should have been. And here's the drain for the antenna installed. And so now I'm going to put some primer on it, and after I put the primer on it, I'll put a little bit, I'll sand it again and make sure it's still flat and make it nice and smooth. So the repair is finished, and you can see that it's not an exact match and it needs to be blended, but there's no more rust and it's all been taken care of. It took about 12 hours altogether, but I've just blended it in, and I'll have some more spray paint to put on the undercoating there. But basically I just use Rust-Oleum, so the object is to hold off until I get the car painted. And that's the last of the rust repair for this car.